You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Thomas. You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week. After the Sacramento helicopter crash that claimed the life of flight nurse Susie Smith, her husband shares a message of faith, love, and resilience. And in dollars and cents, a North Highlands woman finally exits a timeshare after years of frustration. Then we hit the back roads. John Bartell takes us to El Dorado County to meet a pack of wolf dogs and the women who rescued them. ABC10 Plus This Week starts now. Let's turn now to continuing coverage. It was just a week ago a medical transport helicopter took off from UC Davis Medical Center and crashed on Highway 50.
3 people were on board: Susie Smith, Chad Millward, and Margaret Dee Davis. Sadly, over the weekend, Smith died. Just yesterday, she took her final flight back home to Redding. Tonight, her husband, RJ Smith, is speaking publicly for the first time in an exclusive interview with ABC 10's Nazi Javid.
Watching over us all.
I met RJ Smith at the home he shared with his wife Susie. He says even though she's gone, he knows she's still flying, just higher. A close friend, Tony Baldwin, wrote a song in her memory called The Angel Who Flew.
Fly home, sweet Susie, fly to heaven tonight. The many hands, your healing hands heal, now lift you to the light.
Susie was a flight nurse, someone who lived to lift others up, both in the air and in spirit. RJ says even in her toughest moments, her faith never faltered.
She was a champion for the less fortunate. Remember, you're supposed to say, "Suck it up, RJ." Yeah, she always was looking out for somebody else.
After the crash, Susie spent several days on a ventilator. RJ never left her side, praying and holding her hand as loved ones led a hospital honor walk, paying tribute to her faith.
I will sing of the goodness of God.
She loved her church family. The stories we're hearing about her on the helicopter, her being a nurse was just an avenue that she could share the gospel.
Even in death, Susie gave life. Her organs now help strangers she never met, but would have loved just the same. And through it all, RJ holds on to their last conversation.
"Hey, baby, I'm going to work. I'll see you tomorrow." And she goes, "Did you get your lunch?" And I said, "Yes, baby, I got my lunch." And she said, "Okay, I love you."
We thank him for lending the angel who flew. Goodbye, sweet Susie.
In Palo Cedro, Nazi Javid, ABC 10.
A very touching story, Nazi. Thank you. Chad Millward and Margaret Dee Davis remain in critical but stable condition. Making history in healthcare. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom announced California will be the first to offer state-branded insulin in the name of affordability. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Hubb brings us the latest.
Advocates call insulin the vial of life. Newsom first promised to lower prescription drug costs in 2019, his first year as governor.
If I don't have insulin, I'll die in a few days.
Christine Falabelle lives with type 1 diabetes and has to take insulin daily. That's why she stood alongside the governor Thursday for a life-changing announcement. Starting January 1st, 2026, insulin pens will be available at pharmacies for $11 a pen, $55 for a 5-pack of 3 milliliters.
That's the most anyone should ever have to pay, even if they show up in the pharmacy without any insurance.
They say anyone is eligible. That's thanks to CalRx, California's program to make its own supply of prescription drugs for cheaper. Newsom noting that current costs of insulin from name brands can range from as low as $89 to $411.
I'll say it, Big Pharma, to disrupt this multi-billion-dollar market. 90% of insulins in this country, 90% share are in the hands of just 3 big companies, and they have been gouging you for years and years and years.
Advocates agree.
I have given myself 67,333 insulin injections 76,952 finger pricks, 2,748 days recovering from a hypo since being diagnosed in 1999.
For them, insulin is a life-saving medicine, not a choice, not a luxury, and it's not something they can cut back on when finances are tight.
This rollout will be long-acting glargine insulin pens, the generic for Lantus, which helps regulate blood sugar levels. The administration says up next under CalRx are albuterol, GLP-1, also for diabetes, and even vaccines. The news comes days after Newsom signed into law a bill that limits copays for a 30-day supply of insulin to $35.
Just the constant threat of not having health insurance and the rising cost of insulin is always a stressor.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents, an update on a North Highlands woman who reached out to ABC 10 about her timeshare troubles. She tells me she struggled to keep up with ongoing fees and desperately trying to get out of her timeshare after years of happy memories. Tonight, she's breathing a sigh of relief.
I just feel very relieved and very pleased and a little surprised.
78-year-old Patricia Lynn Cordero, a retired nurse, says she bought a timeshare in Montana more than 2 decades ago for $15,000. But after becoming partially disabled, Cordero says she and her family haven't used the timeshare in years.
I had 20 years of wonderful trips with my timeshare. And aside from the ongoing maintenance fees and the no exit strategy, it was good. But those really do bag you down.
She hoped to unload the timeshare and the thousands of dollars in annual fees that come with it.
I watched one of your shows, and at the end, you often say, if you need help, give me a call. Well, I did that one day. I was so surprised when you called back, and I knew it was your voice. I knew I recognized that voice.
Cordero reached out to the timeshare company, writing this letter, saying in part, quote, "I hereby relinquish ownership of this timeshare and return it to you. I do not expect any payment from you. I don't have access to the property. There has never been a mortgage on it. I will not pay any further maintenance fees." And they responded with this letter, saying in part, quote, "We are not accepting property back. As this is a deeded property ownership, you remain the responsible owner of your obligation until it is legally transferred through sales or otherwise to another lawful owner." Cordero says she kept hitting roadblocks until she called ABC 10.
So what you did was find the information through the new companies to tell me where to go and what the process would be. That was very helpful, and I had been beating my head against a stone wall for years trying to make that happen, so I appreciate that very much.
I called the timeshare staff in Montana, Meadow Lake Resorts, who connected me with Vacatia Incorporated, the timeshare's management company. Within days, a representative sent me this email, saying in part, quote, "Meadow Lake is sorry to hear Ms. Cordero is experiencing a hardship and is no longer able to travel or use her timeshare. Meadow Lake has a relinquishment program for owners that are experiencing a financial hardship, medical hardship, and or other situation in which timeshare ownership may no longer suit the owner's lifestyle." They go on to say, quote, "Based on the details contained in your email, Ms. Cordero should be eligible for hardship relief." It is great to hear that you persevered. What kept you going? What motivated you through all of this?
After you did call up to Meadow Lake, that's the resort, it was very quick. And they were like falling over themselves to take care of the problem, which is a totally different attitude than what I'd gotten before.
In an email, Vacatia explained owners seeking to relinquish their timeshare need to submit to the Meadow Lake Association. Then they'll let the owners know what documents they need to submit. They say owner hardship requests are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Cordero shared with us the new deed and an email from Vacatia confirming she no longer has financial obligation to the association.
Well, everybody has been very cooperative and helpful. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There are efforts underway to help you navigate timeshares, know your rights, and make the most of your money. I talked with the CEO of a timeshare company, industry group, that formed a new timeshare consumer protection center. You'll see that in next week's Dollars and Cents. Until then, you can always email me your questions at lpainter@abc10.com and watch all of our Dollars and Cents coverage on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app.
As we first told you, PG&E is now seeking public comment on yet another possible rate increase in the coming year. It all comes as 10 on Your Side gets messages from families each week saying they can't afford to pay. Tonight, we're helping a family in Marysville and discovering what options are available to reduce high bills. Renato Panetta sent 10 on Your Side this message saying, I just saw your Facebook regarding PG&E billing. My partner and I feel like it's too much for the 3 people that live in our home. We are hardly home because 2 of us work full time and our son goes to school. Last month, our bill was $472 and this month is $347. We've lived here for over 5 years now, and every summer and winter, our bill is pretty high. We can't afford the bills for PG&E. Thank you very much for helping all of us.
It's important for customers to realize that there are many options for getting discounts, for making payment arrangements.
So what exactly are those options? The California Alternate Rates for Energy or CARE program provides a monthly discount of 20% on gas and electricity, but you have to recertify every few years.
There's also another program called FARA, which is for families of 3 or more, and actually has a higher income limit, so customers who may not qualify for CARE may qualify for FARA. All of these programs offer discounts on customers' gas and electric service.
PG&E insists they have a way to help lower the Panetta's bill, saying we tried calling the customer but their mailbox is full. We did run a rate analysis and the customer would benefit from another rate and may qualify for discount programs. A rep would be happy to help them by discussing options to help them reduce their energy bills. In addition to submitting written public comment online about that possible rate increase, there are also 3 upcoming opportunities to present your comments at 1 in-person and 2 virtual hearings. We have that information on our website. And don't forget, ABC10 is here to help. Do you have a problem and don't know where else to turn? Email me at onyourside@abc10.com.
Thousands of dollars in damage and concerns about neighbors' safety. Complaints surrounding a 9-bedroom, 14-bathroom, 15,000-square-foot mansion in Placer County have circulated for the past several years. We're talking about White Swan Castle, an opulent mansion in Granite Bay, now at the center of controversy. The current owners bought the property just off Auburn Folsom Road in September of 2021. According to the Placer County officials, the property is zoned residential agricultural, but neighbors claim it's being improperly used for commercial purposes. Digital content producer Kaylee Bryant and I looked into it. At 8300 Moss Court in Granite Bay, on 4.7 acres, sits a luxurious mansion surrounded by gardens and fountains. Up until recently, the website 8300mosscourt.com, now offline, said the property was for sale for nearly $10 million, with photos showcasing the inside and outside and a description in part of its expansive outdoor entertainment spaces designed for large gatherings, celebrations, and overnight guest stays, ideal for events, private getaways, or as a show-stopping primary residence.
So I just want them to follow the rules.
Neighbor Dana Talia says for several years now she has reported to Placer County Code Enforcement what she claims are unpermitted events.
It passed the point of a neighbor having a party that's difficult or annoying or loud to now we live next to a concert venue.
Talia has been going back and forth with the county for years, documenting alleged noise, traffic, and safety concerns linked to what she estimates have been more than 40 events held at White Swan Castle over the past 4 years. And now it's at the point where you've turned to the media.
It just feels very much like it's a problem about to happen, and we're warning, and no one is listening.
Talia and other neighbors allege the castle has hosted weddings and large parties with loud music. They have seen hundreds of cars parked along not only Auburn Folsom Road, where parking is not allowed, but also the neighborhood's narrow, dead-end street.
My senior citizen neighbors shouldn't have to be afraid that if a police comes or a fire truck, it's blocking their entire road. They shouldn't be scared and have everyone has to shut their gates.
As someone who works in the medical field, Talia says her main concern is safety, but she also claims party guests have mistaken her family's front lawn for overflow parking.
People have been drinking, there's cars in our driveway, there's cars breaking our sprinklers, they use it as a turnaround.
Talia claims guests have caused thousands of dollars in damage. She and her husband have since added a gate with warnings.
I'd say it's easily $5,000, maybe more, just to fix the landscaping, the gate, paying the landscapers over and over to fix all the pipes that were broken from people driving on it. broken trees.
ABC10 reached out to the property owners about all this. They declined to provide ABC10 with an interview or formal statement. They claim they, quote, occasionally host gatherings at their private estate and remain in full compliance with Placer County codes and regulations, calling the neighbors' claims false. Talia claims she and her husband tried talking with one of the owners early on and were met with hostility. They've since let code enforcement be the liaison. Plus, Talia and other neighbors claim the property owners don't even live here. Court documents show Maria Mosinzadeh and Hossein Razavi purchased the property at 8300 Moss Court in September of 2021. The California Secretary of State's website lists an active LLC for a company called White Swan Castle, and Mosinzadeh is listed as the manager and CEO in its most recent filing, June 25th of this year. The address attached to the company's filing is a home in Napa. A website called whiteswancastle.com shows the property's iconic gazebo in the background and currently says coming soon. Archived versions of White Swan Castle's website appear to show the property advertised for events, saying the property is ideal for weddings, film production, and/or similar occasions, and that White Swan Castle is currently renting out the space. ABC10 cannot confirm if these events occurred. A TikTok account called White Swan Castle showcases videos of the property posted in 2024 and describes itself as a private event venue. But Placer County's unincorporated zoning map shows 8300 Moss Court is zoned residential agricultural, and that to hold temporary events requires a permit.
If an event is occurring where there are more than 20 people present, they're non-family members, then it rises to the level of being classified as an event in Placer County Code, and would be subject to that event either being held at an events venue or subject to what we call a temporary outdoor event permit, which even though the name implies that it's outdoors, it also is used for events that are held indoors as well.
Chris Pahuli is Placer County's planning director. He says a residential property can hold up to 6 such events per year, each one requiring a temporary outdoor event permit. Beyond that, a property has to be zoned commercial or operated as a community center. The county says 8300 Moss Court is neither, though the county says the property has obtained a temporary outdoor event permit in the past. The county also says there are parking requirements for events included in the Placer County Code. But Talia worries there are loopholes, claiming owners can get around the county's rules.
So as long as they say it's friends or family, you can't prove otherwise.
And when it comes to reporting events, the county says a code enforcement officer has to witness the violation with their own eyes, and they typically work weekdays. So in May, Placer County launched a pilot program with a weekend event hotline and on-call officers. It runs through October.
If there is a violation occurring, they would issue a notice of violation that puts the property owner on notice that they need to receive proper permits in order to hold events. If that property owner continues to violate the code, we have a progressive enforcement process where we would issue fines and citations.
The county says code enforcement issued White Swan Castle property owners a notice of violation for an event held the last weekend of May this year. The county tells ABC10 no hearing or appeal has been scheduled because this was simply a notice, not a citation, and the owners have been in communication with the county about the violation. As for any potential buyer of the property, a word of caution from the county.
I would encourage potential buyers of property that are looking to hold public events or events where they're looking to lease out the property to really do your research before purchasing the property.
He says 8300 Moss Court is not permitted as a commercial events venue.
It's been really difficult. It's been really hard to not know where it's headed and if it's ever going to stop. And it's just a matter of time before someone gets hurt or there's a car accident or something bad happens. So it's just been unnerving.
That neighbor tells us the property has been quiet recently, and she hopes it stays that way. The county says complaints and concerns about unpermitted events aren't limited to White Swan Castle. As for Placer County Code Enforcement's pilot program with on-call weekend enforcement officers, the planning director says his office plans on taking the results of that program to the Board of Supervisors later this year as part of an ongoing discussion.
And Governor Gavin Newsom just signed a controversial bill that would allow relatives to step in as caregivers for children if their parents are deported. As ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen found out, one organization believes that this would endanger children. She's here to explain more.
Alex, opponents of this legislation say this would violate parental rights, but the bill's author tells me this does the exact opposite, and it's to protect children from enduring additional trauma as immigration raids continue.
We stood by our values in California, and we're protecting families every way that we can, especially now during this really scary time.
Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez is the author of AB 495, recently signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom. It will create guidelines for schools and medical facilities during immigration enforcement actions and protect sensitive information like immigration status. This comes after the Trump administration started increasing immigration enforcement throughout the state.
It creates a new temporary joint guardianship in probate court to ensure that families can select someone they know and love and trust to care for their child, to care for that child in the event that they are absent.
The California Family Council, a Christian-based public policy organization, says there is already a working system in place.
But we already have something in place for this called the CPS. Like, if a child is left alone, you call the police calls social services, the child is picked up, and then a court will decide who best to take care of the child.
And the biggest issue with this new law, the caregiver's authorization affidavit. The California Family Council believes it violates parental rights. The organization says it has requested Assemblymember Rodriguez to add a signature line to the affidavit for parents to sign.
Read the affidavit. It does not require a parent's signature. So how can you say the parents are involved in picking who gets the child when they don't have to sign it? I don't understand. I went into their office, explained this to them, and they had no explanation for me.
ABC 10 asked Rodriguez about this criticism.
So the child care affidavit for the past 30 years has not required a parent signature.
Rodriguez says the lack of signature is in the event the child's parent is not present to sign or no longer alive, adding that this law is to ensure children are not left behind and are cared by someone they know and love.
The California Family Council is now considering taking legal action against the state and encouraging school districts and hospitals to not give anyone access who presents the caregiver authorization form. Alex.
On the back roads of Pilot Hill, California, overlooking Folsom Lake, there's a sanctuary where healing takes place between women and wolves.
Whether it was PTSD, whether we've had domestic violence, victims, we've had women who've been through, all sorts of different situations that they didn't think they could recover from, and you see their faces light up when they meet these wolf dogs.
In nature, wolves run free, but these are not your typical wolves.
They never really were supposed to exist, in essence, so they have nowhere else to go, right? And when you mix a wild animal with an animal that wants to please humans, you kind of don't know exactly what you're going to get.
Caught somewhere between wild and domesticated, wolf dogs are man-made hybrids that were bred to be unique companions for humans.
They will discover that the greatest secret of survival is friendship.
All he needs is a little bit of kindness.
They were popularized by books and movies like White Fang, but when the wolf dog's wild side becomes too hard to handle, these animals often end up caged or worse.
When you're mixing a wolf gene and a dog gene, there's a lot of kind of identity crises, when it comes to these animals. And so they end up getting surrendered. 90% of them actually get euthanized.
Anjali Ranadive is the founder of Women for Wolves, a rescue she started in 2013.
The bigger picture is really to bridge the gap between people and animals and between women and nature, because it's so natural and it's something that's been lost.
This refuge is as much of a sanctuary for the wolves as it is for the women that take care of them.
So if you're nervous and anxious, they'll be nervous and anxious. So you really have to be able to ground yourself.
Abused, neglected, or starved, these wolf dogs are rescued from all over the United States, and they take time to heal. The term man's best friend doesn't exactly apply here.
They just tend to bond more with women, and I feel like that's also validating for the women that come here to get that special connection.
Women for Wolves is one of the largest wolf dog sanctuaries in Northern California, and they often take on difficult cases.
3 husky mixed dogs on the loose.
Yeah, the dogs have already attacked 2 other animals.
In May of 2025, a pack of wolf dogs got loose from their owners in Natomas and killed or injured neighborhood pets.
They were on the streets for 5 weeks, and then 2 got returned to the guy.
Those wolf dogs were eventually surrendered to Women for Wolves.
When I tell you that they were living in the most filthy squalor I've ever seen in my life.
Anjali says she hopes to use high-profile wolf dog cases like this to introduce legislation that will end the breeding of wolf dogs altogether.
They changed my life and I love them, but the amount of suffering that I've seen, and we get calls or emails every single day, I'm not exaggerating, of animals that are being abandoned.
It's hard to say who is saving who at this sanctuary above Folsom Lake, but regardless if it's the women or the wolves, healing is taking place here.
I feel like I owe them my life. You know, there's been situations where I haven't wanted to, continue on, just to be honest. And animals, they bring you back to yourself, but especially these guys, because they've been through so much. So I think you recognize that in each other.
From the Wolf Dog Sanctuary at Women for Wolves, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the backroads.
We know that in news, stories can be filled with challenges and hardships. I know folks who say they don't really tune into the news because it's so negative. But I think we have more things in common than we do dividing us. Incredible things are happening every day. We see it from neighbors helping neighbors to inspiring acts of kindness. All that said, each week here on To The Point, we are sharing stories about people making a difference. Tonight, in our Champions of Hope, we introduce you to Folsom native Bob Gitcham. He's a lifelong athlete, proving that endurance means more than just finishing a race. You see, in 2019, Bob was heading home from his daughter's volleyball tournament when he got into a devastating head-on crash. The accident left him with severe injuries, including a shattered pelvis, fractured spine, broken ribs, and a crushed heel. After multiple surgeries, he spent months relearning how to walk. His recovery was long and painful, involving multiple surgeries. But during his hospital stay, an Ironman triathlon flyer became a beacon of hope, inspiring him to return to competing. Since then, Bob has completed more than a dozen grueling Ironman triathlons, with every race a reminder that survival itself is a victory.
People ask me what the hardest part about doing Ironmans are on that whole thing, and honestly, it's getting to the start line. Nothing else. If you can get to the start line, you've made it. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. And people say that because it's true. Because if you do, you will accomplish it. So regardless of what it is in life, whatever it is, if you show up, showing up's the hardest part.
Bob's story is a powerful reminder that endurance sports aren't just about athleticism. They can be a celebration of resilience, survival, and redefining limits.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Plus this week. We are here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Chris Thomas. I'll see you next time.